The Light in the Shadows. Chapter 1. The Prisoner Who Would Not Break. The chains rattled first, not loud, not even close, but enough that every member of the party glanced toward the stairwell leading down into the underbelly of Moonrise Towers. The clang of shackles, boots striking stone, a muffled voice choking on defiance. Vesta didn't need to see the prisoner to know the voice. She had heard Minthara curse a dozen times at the goblin camp, usually while giving orders or demanding obedience. This curse was different. This one was pain. They crept forward as cultists dragged Minthara's limp form down the corridor, her armor stripped, her wrists chained, a bruise darkening across her cheekbone. She still managed to bite one of her captor's arms as they passed. Astarion whispered, "Gods, she looks awful. I love her spirit." Shadowheart elbowed him. "We're helping the prisoners, not providing commentary." "Why not both?" When the cultists vanished into the lower cells, Vesta gave a sharp nod. "We're going after her." Gale exhaled slowly. "Of course we are." Moonrise's dungeons were a different kind of darkness. Not the supernatural kind that ate souls, but the human kind. Chains, dried blood, torch smoke that clung to the throat. Minthara lay in one of the central cells, shackled to the wall at wrists and ankles. Not ceremonially, crudely. Someone had beaten her, someone had tried to break her, and someone had failed. Because even half-conscious, she glared like a cornered wolf. Vesta knelt and picked the lock. Astarion made a sound of offense. "I could have done that." Vesta gestured to the other cells. "Then go do those." "Oh, that is more fun." He flashed a fangy grin and darted away. Minthara stirred as Vesta opened the door. Her voice was a rasp. "Come to finish the job?" Gale stepped into the torchlight behind her, concern etched across his features. "No, we're here to free you." Minthara's eyes snapped toward him. Even half delirious, they held hatred, recognition, and a flicker of humiliation. "Wizard," she growled, struggling against the chains, "if you pity me—" "The thought hadn't crossed my mind," Gale interrupted gently, "but if you insist, I can schedule it for later." Her mouth opened, then closed. She hated that he surprised her. Shadowheart handed Vesta a key. "This place reeks of pain magic, Shah's flavour." Minthara spat on the floor. "Ketheric's orders. Punishment for failing at the goblin camp. They want to remake me." She looked back at Gale, eyes burning. "They are wasting their time." Gale met her stare without flinching. "Well, you are an extraordinarily stubborn woman." She blinked. Slowly. As if the compliment confused her more than the torture. When the shackles fell away, Minthara tried to lunge to her feet. She got halfway before the world tilted and she collapsed to her knees. Catching herself on one trembling arm, jaws clenched so hard her teeth creaked. Gale's hand shot forward. She hissed without looking up, "Do not touch me!" He froze immediately. Not offended, not pushy, just listening. Her breath shook. "I refuse to be handled like damaged cargo." "Understood," Gale said softly. "I'll simply stand here in case gravity continues its rude betrayal." Her eyes flicked up. She didn't thank him. She didn't need to. She just let out a small, sharp exhale that wasn't quite agreement, but wasn't disagreement either. Vesta supported Minthara on one side. Minthara accepted it because refusing would mean staying behind, and that was unthinkable. Gale hovered several paces away, hands clasped behind his back as if he were worried his fingers might offend her on their own. "Wizard," Minthara muttered without turning her head. "Yes," Gale perked. "You're walking too close." He blinked. "I am at least 10 paces behind you." "Too close." "That seems mathematically implausible." "If you breathe like that again," she snapped, "I will assume you are dying and react accordingly." Astarion reappeared, dragging 2 freed prisoners. "Gale, love, please continue whatever you're doing. Her mood is the highlight of my day." "I am not in a mood," Minthara snarled. "You're always in a mood," Astarion said cheerfully. "It's your only mode." Now, Minthara looked ready to murder him with her fingernails. Gale sighed. "This is going to be a very long escape." Minthara stumbled again, a tiny, almost invisible falter. Gale didn't touch her, didn't even reach out. He just said quietly, "I can catch you, if you want." She closed her eyes for a half-second. A war in her chest. "If you must," she muttered. Gale's smile was soft, not triumphant, not pitying. Just warm. A warmth she hated and needed. Chapter 2. Breathing Too Loudly. The shadow-cursed path. The moment they stepped out of the Moonrise dungeons, the shadow curse pressed down on them like a heavy whispering shroud. Poisonous, intimate, searching. Only the faint shimmer of the pixie's blessing held it back. Not a glow, not a lantern flare. Just a thin, invisible bubble of tolerable air, humming faintly against their skin. Minthara flinched at the first breath of the curse, her hand going instinctively to a missing weapon. Gale noticed immediately. "So, good news. You are absolutely correct that this place is hostile. Less good news. It's even worse outside." "Your commentary is unnecessary," Minthara muttered, steadying herself. "I suspected as much," Gale murmured. Astarion spun the empty moon lantern shell lightly between his fingers. "Do try not to fall into the shadows, darling. We just rescued you." "I do not fall," Minthara snapped. "You almost did." "Twice," Gale said without thinking. Minthara stopped dead in her tracks. Gale stopped too, horror dawning. I meant no offense, only—" "Wizard." Her jaw twitched. Her voice was a growl. Vesta took a prudent step sideways. Astarion grinned like a child waiting for a brawl. "Yes," Gale squeaked. "Do you value your life?" "I would like to think so, yes." "Then do not comment on my balance again." Gale nodded rapidly. "Understood." She continued walking. Gale exhaled like he'd narrowly escaped a beholder's eye ray. Astarion clapped him on the shoulder. "Excellent work. You're bringing out her nurturing side." Minthara bared her teeth. "I do not nurture." Karlach laughed from the rear. "Hey, it's better than her killing side, or at least adjacent." They descended a cracked staircase into deeper shadow. She kept scanning the horizon, rigid with vigilance. Gale watched her for too long. Finally she snapped, "What is it?" "I was just admiring your situational awareness," Gale said honestly. Astarion choked back a giggle. Minthara narrowed her eyes at Gale like she suspected a trap. "That is not a particularly clever compliment." "It wasn't meant to be clever," Gale said, shrugging gently. "Simply true." Something faltered in her expression. Something small, almost imperceptible. She did not know how to receive sincerity. It slid under her armor like a blade she'd never trained to block. Her voice came out sharper than she intended. "Wizard, stop staring," she growled. "I wasn't staring," he responded. "You were. Loudly," she retorted. "That's not. Staring doesn't make noise," he stumbled to say. "It does when you do it," she insisted. The safe zone was thin, barely wider than the path itself. Outside it, the shadow curse writhed like living fog, brushing the edges of Minthara's already frayed mind. Every time the blessing thrummed against a shadow, Minthara's skin prickled. Every time she faltered even a fraction, she bristled like a cornered beast. She hated this. The lack of control. The weakness. The eyes on her. Especially his eyes. "Wizard," she muttered without looking back. "Yes?" "You are walking too close. I'm 5 paces behind you." "Too close." That's not... Gale frowned. Minthara, that's not how distance works. It is how you work, Minthara responded. Vesta coughed to hide a laugh. Astarion did not hide his at all. Gale sighed. I'm beginning to suspect this is less about my proximity and more about my existence. Your existence, Minthara said coolly, is loud. Loud? How does one exist loudly? Gale responded, exasperated. By breathing, she retorted. Astarion wiped tears from his eyes. Oh gods, please continue. Shadows writhed nearby, twisted humanoid figures lunging toward the light. Vesta barked an order, Shadowheart raised her spear, and Karlach roared, charging forward. Gale flicked his wrist, weaving a glyph of burning radiance. On your right! Minthara spun, snatched a discarded blade from a fallen cultist, and cut through a shade in one vicious arc. Another lunged. Gale shouted the warning again, but didn't cast. Minthara ended the second shade with a kick and a savage downward strike. Breathing hard, she glared at Gale. Why did you not cast when I was attacked? You already had it under control. That is not the point. Gale tilted his head. You looked formidable. A strange silence followed, only broken by Karlach cracking a skull under her boot. Astarion whispered stage loud, flirting. Minthara and Gale both snapped. We are not. They camped just before the broken bridge leading toward Last Light. Minthara sat apart, sharpening the scavenged blade, refusing a healing potion, refusing food, refusing rest. Gale approached with a tea kettle. She glared at it as if it were a threat. What is that? She said flatly. Tea, he said. For, she growled. You, he responded matter-of-factly. I don't drink sentimental beverages, she scoffed. It's not sentimental, it's... Gale paused, reconsidering. Well, mildly comforting perhaps, but not... No, she continued. It's also fortifying, he added. Still no, she insisted. It helps with magical strain, he continued. Minthara froze mid-sharpen. Gale offered the cup again, gentler this time. Just one sip? She sucked in a breath through her teeth. Fine. She snatched it, drank, and shoved it back at him like it had personally offended her. Gale beamed. Minthara narrowed her eyes. Astarion sighed happily. You two are my entertainment. Vesta raised an eyebrow. Feeling okay, Minthara? Do not, Minthara growled. Ask after my feelings. Gale without thinking, but you do have them. Minthara shot to her feet like she'd been stabbed. Wizard. Yes? Gale sputtered. If you ever mention my feelings again, I will throw you into the shadow curse and let the curse decide your fate. Gale held up both hands, perfectly reasonable boundaries. She stared at him. He smiled. Small, sincere, soft. Minthara looked away, jaw tightening. Your breathing is still too loud. Gale deflated. Astarion cackled into the night. Vesta rubbed her forehead. Karlach chuckled. The pixie blessing thrummed faintly around them like a heartbeat. And somewhere between the curse's whispers and Gale's soft smile, something inside Minthara shifted in a way she absolutely refused to acknowledge. As the companions get ready to bed down for the night, Minthara starts to unravel the day's events. A day that she thought she wouldn't outlive, yet she still feels like her mind is not her own. She sits cross-legged near the edge of the pixie's thin, protective aura, back painfully straight, eyes fixed on a tree that no longer exists, burnt to ash decades ago. Meditation, she tells herself. Discipline. Control. Not distraction. Not him. She catches herself glancing toward Gale's camp setup and snaps her gaze away as if burned. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Why is he lying like that? Hands behind his head, staring thoughtfully at the cursed sky like he's reading poetry only he can see. Why does he look soft? She curls a fist, nails digging into her palms. This is absurd. She does not care about a wizard's breathing, or his tea, or his baffling sincerity. She certainly does not care about how he looked when he said she was formidable. Earnest, steady, as if he meant every word. Humans always mean every word. They lack subtlety, they lack intelligence, they lack strength. Especially wizards. Especially male wizards. Especially human male wizards with warm eyes and softer hearts than any warrior should have. She risks one more glance. He's looking at her. Minthara shoots her gaze away so fast she nearly sprains her neck. Her pulse spikes. Her jaw tightens. Her thoughts snarl. Stop looking at me. Stop noticing me. Stop being. She doesn't finish the sentence. She won't. She refuses. She is Minthara Benre of Menzabur Anzan. A commander. A priestess. A weapon sharpened since childhood. She does not feel fluttering heat in her chest when a man looks at her like she is worth something. She will sleep now. Meditate. Ignore him completely. She definitely does not steal one last glance. Across the camp, Gale lies on his back, hands behind his head, staring into a sky he can barely see through the shadow curse and the faint, shimmering thread of the pixie's protection. He is not going to think about Minthara. He tells himself that firmly. He absolutely thinks about Minthara. He replays the day, every glare, every snapped retort, every moment she nearly fell and refused to accept help, every time she surprised him with her ferocity, her pride, her strange flashes of vulnerability. He groans quietly. What is happening to him? He has fallen for brilliant women, powerful women, dangerous women. Mistra set the bar alarmingly high. But Minthara? Minthara is in a category all her own. Sharp as obsidian. Proud as a dragon on a horde. Wounded far deeper than she'll ever admit. And yet. She drank the tea. She listened to him. She glared at him like his existence was a personal inconvenience, and somehow that felt less hostile than it should have. He risks a glance across camp. She is sitting stiffly, back straight, pretending not to look in his direction. She looks. He looks away. He looks again. She snaps her gaze forward as if caught doing something illegal. His heart stumbles. Oh, God. This is bad. This is terribly bad. She threatened to throw him into the shadow curse. She said his breathing was loud. She said his existence was loud. She is magnificent. He should sleep. He should not think about the way her expression softened, just for a moment, when he said she looked formidable. He definitely should not imagine her reaction if he ever said anything kinder. He rolls onto his side, pulling the blanket over himself. He will not look again. He looks again. She looks too. Both look away. Gale presses a hand over his face, mortified at himself. Yes. Well, he whispers to no one in particular. This will end splendidly. Chapter 3. What breaks and what does not. Dawn came reluctantly. Not with sunlight. The shadow curse swallowed any hint of gold or warmth, but with a thinning of the darkness, a shift in the air, a subtle easing of the whispers that crawled through the mist. Vesta was the first one awake. Gale was the second. Neither had slept well. Minthara hadn't slept at all. She stood at the cliff's edge, silhouetted against the pale, sickly horizon, blade in hand, shoulders squared as if she were daring the curse itself to try her again. Gale watched her from his bedroll. He told himself he wasn't staring. He absolutely was. She sensed it, and she always did. Her voice cut through the fog. Wizard, if you are going to loom, do it with purpose. Gale jolted upright. I wasn't looming. Looming loudly, she corrected. Astarion mumbled from his bedroll, "Good morning to the two worst communicators in all of Faerun." Karlach sat up with a yawn that was half raw. "Right then, let's crack some bones." Shadowheart tightened her armor straps. "Everyone ready?" Minthara turned, face hard as obsidian. "We end Ketheric Thorm today." No flourish. No bravado. Just cold, unyielding certainty. Gale swallowed. "Yes, today." A flicker, barely a flicker, crossed her expression when he stepped closer, as if she had expected him to hesitate. He didn't. She looked away too quickly. Vesta pointed toward the tower looming in the distance, sickly green and violet streaking its spires. "We take the side path up the ridge, a narrow approach, less patrols." Karlach cracked her knuckles. "Less patrols to smash. Shame." Astarion stood, brushing ash from his sleeve. "Let's simply get this over with before someone dies of awkward tension." Gale sputtered. Minthara hissed. Vesta ignored them all. Up the ridge, weapons ready. The path was steep, crumbling, half swallowed by the curse. The pixie's blessing flickered around them like a frail heartbeat. Minthara moved quickly, too quickly. Anger fueled her steps. Pride sharpened her posture. Gale kept pace behind her, close but not close enough to provoke her fury again. He told himself that was discipline. It was fear. Of her. Of losing her? She could feel his presence like a warmth at her back. It infuriated her. When his boot scuffed a loose stone, she snapped, "If you trip, I will not catch you." Gale frowned. "Why would you assume I'm going to trip?" "You breathe like a man who trips. That's not even... How... That's..." Astarion snickered. Karlach muttered, "Gods above, they're adorable." Shadowheart sighed. Moonrise Tower loomed over them, shadows writhing around its spires, Ketheric's rage pulsing through every crack in the stone. Minthara stepped forward. "Today he pays," she whispered, voice like steel scraping bone. Gale watched her, and something inside him twisted at the raw conviction in her voice. "Stay close," Vesta ordered. "Not too close," Minthara added without looking back. Gale cleared his throat. "Right. Yes, I'll calibrate my proximity." Astarion snorted. "Please do." Vesta took the lead. "Move." The doors of Moonrise slammed open like a beast roaring awake, and together, fractured, furious, frightened, and newly tethered in ways they refused to name, they charged into battle. Bows strung, blades drawn, murmured spells at the ready. Vesta gave them the signal. Karlach roared. Astarion groaned. Gale adjusted his robes nervously. Minthara surged forward like a blade thrown at full force. The Harpers charged. Minthara did not wait for strategy. She struck the first cultist so fast the Harpers stumbled trying to keep pace. Gale braced himself, then followed closely behind her. Too closely. She sensed him instantly. "Wizard," she snapped over her shoulder. "If you walk that close to me, I will assume you are attempting to die." "I'm trying not to die," he said, ducking under a shadow strike aimed at his head. "You're doing a poor job." A Harper overheard and whispered, "Are they courting?" Astarion laughed. "Oh, honey, you have no idea." The halls were a storm of steel, shadows, and spellfire. Minthara tore her way through the ranks of the Absolute like a woman possessed. Gale tried, honestly tried hard, to give her space, but she kept putting herself in danger. Recklessly. Furiously. Every time she staggered, even a little, his heart seized. Every time he cast a protective spell on someone else first, she looked ready to bite him. At one point, A shadow knight slammed her against a pillar. Gale yelled her name, then blasted the attacker with a bolt of crackling weave energy so bright it scorched the wall. Minthara shoved away from the pillar, snarling, "I did not ask for assistance." "You're welcome," Gale panted, sweating, glad to be of service. "I was not in danger." "You were pinned against masonry," Astarion somewhere behind them. "Please continue. This is the most entertaining battle I've ever been in." They burst onto the rooftop with the harpers behind them. Ketherick waited, a mountain of armour and grief, eyes burning with fanatical purpose. "Minthara," he growled, "you were supposed to die screaming in a cell." She stepped forward, voice cold as obsidian. "You failed." The fight erupted. Ketherick hit like a siege engine. Minthara fought like she didn't care if she lived. Gale fought like he cared far too much whether she lived. At one point, Ketherick hurled a massive blast of necrotic force at her. She was too fast, but not fast enough. Gale intercepted. He didn't even think. The blow shattered against his shield spell, sending him sprawling backwards, tumbling across stone. Minthara's rage was explosive. "Wizard!" Her voice cracked. He barely noticed, too busy wheezing. I'm fine," Gale lied from the floor. "You are an idiot," she shouted. "Do not do that again." Ketherick struck the ground, sending a wave of shadow across the rooftop that knocked them all off their feet. A tentacle tore open the sky and snatched Aelin mid-flight. "No!" Vesta shouted. The night song was dragged screaming into the abyss below, and Ketherick dove after her. The stone collapsed. The whole world fell with him. They landed in damp, pulsating darkness. Veins of psychic energy crawled across the fleshy walls. Illithid whispers coiled through the air. Minthara staggered. The residue of the curse clawed at her frayed mind. Gale was at her side before he could stop himself. She shoved him hard. "Do not touch me!" He backed up immediately, but he didn't leave. The elder brain writhed in a distant pool, tendrils shifting, commanding, whispering. Gale froze. Something inside him pulsed. Responded. Ached. His breath hitched, his eyes unfocused. "Gale?" Vesta said. He didn't hear her. The orb inside his chest thrummed, hungry. Mystra's command whispered into his skull. "You are a weapon. Use yourself. End this." He staggered forward, hand glowing with unstable arcane light. Minthara felt it like a punch to the gut. She grabbed his arm. Hard. "Wizard!" she snarled. "Do not!" He didn't respond. She yanked him around to face her. "Do it then," she hissed, voice trembling in a way the others mistook for cruelty. "I dare you." His eyes widened. "You want to die?" she spat. "You want to be a martyr? Then do it." He faltered, confused. Breathing fast. "But know this," she whispered, voice shaking more now. She could not let the others hear the truth. "Do not think for 1 second I will honor your death." His hand lowered, trembling. Vesta stepped between them, eyes blazing. "Gale, look at me. You are not doing this. Not today. Not here." He collapsed into her arms, shaking. Minthara turned away, claws digging into her palms. She did not want him to die. She hated that she did not want him to die. With the group's help, they freed Aelin from her chains. She roared to life, wings unfurling in radiant fury. Together, bloody, beaten, furious, they cornered Ketherick as he knelt praying to Merkul. His transformation was horrifying. His screams, worse. The fight was chaos. Minthara moved with total abandon. Gale supported her with frantic, brilliant spellwork. They struck in tandem again and again. And when the final blow landed, the apostle of miracle collapsing into dust and bone. They stood beside one another panting, barely touching, not touching at all. But close. Too close. Dangerously close. Chapter 4. Too many feelings in one place. The Harpers set up a makeshift camp along the ridge, fires flickering weakly in the dim half-light of the shadow-cursed sky. Everyone was bloodied, exhausted, and half in shock. And Aelin? Aelin was glowing, literally. She crashed into camp like a falling star, radiant wings flaring, armor scorched, eyes blazing with adrenaline. And the moment she spotted Isabel, the world vanished for her. Isabel gasped, sprinted across the clearing, and they collided with such force that several Harpers flinched, and Astarion sighed dramatically. Aelin lifted Isabel off the ground in a sweeping, dizzyingly romantic embrace, spinning her once, twice as Isabel laughed breathlessly into her neck. Karlach wiped a fake tear. Oh, good for them. Shadowheart rolled her eyes. Must they do that in full view of everyone? Astarion smirked. Honestly, if I had wings, I'd flaunt them too. Gale tried very, very hard not to stare at the spectacle of raw, radiant affection. Minthara did stare. Openly. Flatly. Disgusted. She looked like someone had force-fed her feelings at knife point. She muttered, "Revolting." Gale coughed. "It is, enthusiastic." Minthara sliced him a sideways glare. "Do not get ideas." I wasn't," Gale sputtered. "I can see your thoughts forming. That seems unlikely. Loud thoughts." Astarion sauntered by. "Oh, please. Compared to those two?" He pointed at Aelin and Isabel, who were now kissing like war hadn't just ended. "You two barely qualify as enemies," Minthara snarled. Gale blushed so hard he nearly fainted. And that was the backdrop as camp settled, people rested, and the dust of battle finally began to fall. Aelin and Isabel remained a glowing, radiant, aggressively romantic centerpiece in the middle of the clearing. Gale and Minthara. They very carefully did not sit near them. Gale draped his cloak over his knees, careful with every movement. His ribs were still tender. He could feel the warmth of Aelin's glow from across the camp. He tried not to watch her and Isabel. He failed. Then he tried not to compare himself and Minthara to them. He failed harder. Every time Aelin laughed and pulled Isabel closer, he felt his ears burning, thinking about... No. No. That was ridiculous. Minthara would drop-kick him off a cliff if he even imagined touching her that way. He risked a glance at her. She was staring into the fire, jaw tight, every line of her posture screaming, "Do not approach me." Yet her eyes flicked sideways every few seconds, as if checking that he was still alive. Or ensuring he kept his distance. Maybe both. He watched her. He tried to stop. He couldn't. Her hair was singed, her armor cracked and her knuckles bruised. She was the fiercest thing he had ever seen. And when she had screamed his name on the battlefield, he shuts his eyes, breath catching. He is in so much trouble. Minthara watched Aelin and Isabel with the same expression she used for fungal rot. Two women embracing, laughing, touching faces, pressing foreheads, utterly unrestrained, utterly nauseating, utterly enviable. She crushes that thought instantly. She was not raised for softness, not trained for affection, not meant to yearn. And certainly not for a man. A human male. A human male wizard. The lowest rung of Menzoberranzan's hierarchy. Decorative at best. Disposable at worst. Yet when she thinks of Mistra whispering in his ear, telling him to end everything, sacrifice himself, her stomach twists in something dangerously close to fear. She should not feel fear about anyone dying. She works her jaw. Her eyes flick toward him again. He looks tired. Broken. Sore. Still himself. Still alive. She hates the relief blooming in her chest. She hates him for causing it. She hates herself for caring. She stands abruptly. She needs air. She needs distance. She needs... Wizard! She snaps sharply. Gale jumps. Yes? Walk with me. Astarion from his bedroll stage whispered, "Oh, this will be good." Gale blinked up at her, still half kneeling beside his pack. "Oh, yes, of course." He stumbled upright, brushing dirt from his sleeve, trying very hard not to look like a man who had been up half the night replaying the way she had yelled at him on the battlefield. Minthara said nothing more. She turned sharply and strode away from camp, steps clipped, shoulders stiff. Gale jogged a few paces to catch up. Behind them, Aelin and Isabel were openly making out by the fire, radiant wings and all. Astarion made an exaggerated gagging sound. Karlach muttered something about good for them. Shadowheart pretended not to watch. Gale did watch. Minthara did too. Both immediately tore their eyes away, equally disturbed. Minthara led him down a narrow ridge path overlooking the ruined wasteland below. The air smelled like ash and victory and the aftermath of too much nearly dying. She stopped. Gale stopped beside her. Silence. Long, painful silence. Finally, Gale offered gently, "You seem troubled. Is something amiss?" Minthara's jaw twitched. "No." "Yes." Gale softened. "I'm listening." She stared straight ahead as if the dying landscape were easier to face than him. "I experience a sensation around you." Gale blinked. "Oh dear. Is it nausea?" "Sometimes my cooking disagrees with people." Minthara's head snapped toward him with lethal precision. "No. It is not your food, or your constant rambling, or your sentimental aura." She said sentimental aura the way one might say parasite infection. Gale let out a relieved breath. "Well, that's reassuring." Minthara inhaled slowly, visibly preparing for battle. "It is a warmth." "Oh," Gale brightened. "Yes, my robe holds heat marvellously. It's a special weave." "No." Her voice cut him down like a blade. "Not your clothes, you." Gale froze. Then, instinctively, he stepped back 2 full paces. "Oh, am I standing too close? I can move." "I'll move." "See? Moved." He actually continued backing up. Minthara leaned toward him, eyes narrowing. "Wizard, listen." Gale swallowed. "Listening. I feel..." She grimaced, knuckles whitening. "Warm. Inside." Gale's brows lifted in concern. "Indigestion?" She stared at him like she was debating stabbing the air. "No." "Not indigestion." "Right. Then perhaps a fever? Do drow get fevers? I can fetch a blanket." "I do not need a blanket." Her voice ricocheted off the rocks. She rubbed her forehead with both hands. "The universal sign for I am going to murder you, but politely. I am trying to tell you. I feel a warmth when you are near. It is disorienting." "Oh," Gale said brightly. "Yes, body temperature fluctuates in social proximity. Quite normal. It's called homeostatic." Minthara's hands curled into fists. "I swear to the Spider Queen, why, it is not physiological homeostasis. I am trying to say something emotional." Gale blinked. "Oh." Silence stretched. Then he smiled, soft and hopeful. You mean comfort? Safety? A sense of camaraderie, perhaps? Minthara's voice thinned, painfully, shamefully, into something almost vulnerable. Something like that? She breathed once, hard. I feel things, Gale. Gale's heart soared. Oh, I feel things too. Friendship, respect, a fond appreciation for your strength. No! She cut him off sharply, panic rising. More than that. Admiration? She squeezed her eyes shut, bracing herself. Then, through gritted teeth. Wizard, I care for you. Gale brightened immediately. Ah, yes, of course. We all care for each other in this party. It's part of being a team, really. Why, even Astarion. Minthara's voice broke. No. I mean, She forced it out like it physically hurt. I have feelings for you. Gale froze. Oh, his eyes widened. Oh, feelings. Romantic feelings. Emotional connection. Affectionate warmth. Minthara whispered, defeated. Yes. Finally. Gale's face lit with genuine delight. Well, that's simply wonderful, Minthara. But the joy on his face hit her like a blade. And something inside her snapped. Her voice came out raw, furious. I hate it. Gale blinked. What? She spun, cloak whipping behind her. I hate you. Good night. It was still morning. She stormed away, stalking back toward camp with the violent grace of a panther that had stepped in something emotional. Gale stared after her, mortified. From the bushes, a slow, mocking clap echoed behind him. Astarion stepped into view, grinning like a devil. Oh, bravo, wizard! A flawless confession scene, Gale gaped. She hates me? No, darling. Astarion patted his arm. She's smitten. But she said, yes, she hates you. In her dialect, that's practically a betrothal. Gale's eyes shimmered with alarmed hope. Oh. Oh my, then perhaps one day. He pressed a hand dramatically to his chest. I'll win her over. Astarion groaned skyward. Oh gods, he's doomed. Minthara stalked through the trees like a blade hurled by an angry god, boots cracking twigs, hair snapping behind her in a furious banner. She hated him. She hated herself. She hated this entire stupid, emotional, surface-dwelling world where feelings apparently leaked out of one's mouth without warning. I have feelings for you, she mimicked under her breath, disgust curling her lip. She sounded pathetic, weak, human. Spider Queen take her, she'd actually said it. Out loud. In common. To a man. To a human male wizard, the lowest conceivable life form, according to everything she'd been taught since birth. And he reacted like she'd told him she enjoyed embroidery and wanted to discuss homeostasis. She kicked a rock so hard it skittered across the ridge and fell into the ravine. I warned myself, she hissed. Never speak feelings to a human. This proves I was right. She clutched at her chest, furious at the tight ache beneath her ribs. Stupid wizard. Stupid warmth. Stupid. Everything. She raked both hands through her hair. I should kill him, she muttered. Not literally, Just symbolically, emotionally, spiritually. Then she immediately felt worse for thinking it, which infuriated her more. Gale found Vesta fiddling with her equipment beside the dying campfire. He approached with visible trepidation, hands clasped behind his back, like a student waiting to confess to a teacher. "Vesta," he whispered. "A moment?" Vesta glanced up, already wary. "What did you do?" I don't know," Gale confessed, voice cracking. "Minthara spoke to me, earnestly, emotionally, and then she told me she hated me and fled." Shadowheart, passing by with bedrolls, snorted. Vesta gestured for Gale to sit. He did, awkwardly, like a man afraid the ground might also hate him. "Walk me through it," Vesta said gently. Gale did. Every baffling line. Every hopeful misinterpretation. Every time Minthara said warmth and he said homeostasis. Vesta pressed both palms over her eyes. "Gale," she said slowly, "sometimes you are emotionally obtuse." Gale gasped. "I beg your pardon? You tried to diagnose her with indigestion." "Well, yes, but—" "And suggested fetching her a blanket." In my defense, she looked chilly. Vesta sighed deeply, pinching the bridge of her nose. "You need to understand something. Minthara making herself vulnerable is like asking a dragon to perform interpretive dance in public. If she said she had feelings, she meant it." Gale's eyes shimmered. "So she doesn't hate me?" Behind them, Astarion materialized like a smug vampire sprite. "She hates that she has feelings for you," he corrected sweetly. "Very different, very romantic, very entertaining." Gale wrung his hands. "What should I do?" "Give her space," Vesta said. "Let her come to you." Astarion added, "Or don't. Approach her immediately. It'll be fun for me either way." Vesta shoved him. By midday, everyone knew. Will was polishing his glaive. "So, how's the wizard drow situation?" Karlach slapped Gale's back. "I'm rooting for you, champ, even if she throws knives at your head. Especially then." Shadowheart sipped tea. "I give this union a 50% chance of success and a 90% chance of collateral damage." Lae'zel, overhearing. "Drow mating rituals involve aggression. You should be honored if she attempts to stab you." Gale went pale. Astarion sprawled across a rock, hands behind his head. "I personally cannot wait for Phase 2 of this disaster. Stage 1 was perfection. Stage 2 will be transcendent." Gale made a small dying noise. Minthara avoided him with the skill and commitment of an assassin. When Gale approached from the left, she pivoted right. When he turned right, she vanished behind a rock. When he sat near the campfire, she abruptly decided she needed to practice sword forms 30 feet away. If he looked in her direction, she glared daggers. If he stepped closer, she stepped back. If he said Minthara, she snarled like a cornered wolf. Gale watched all this with growing horror. "I think," he whispered to Vesta one evening, "she wants to kill me." Vesta sighed. "She doesn't want to kill you." Astarion leaned in. "She absolutely wants to kill the feelings. Tragically, you come attached." Karlach snorted. "Minthara!" From across the fire, growled low in her throat. Gale squeaked. Chapter 5. Fate has no mercy. The next morning, Ketheric's remaining cultists ambushed the trail leading toward Baldur's Gate. Half the party scrambled uphill to flank them. Vesta shouted over the chaos, "Minthara! Gale! Take the ridge path together!" The entire party froze. Minthara's pupils shrank to pinpricks. Gale audibly gulped. Astarion whispered, delighted, "Perfection." "Go," Vesta ordered. They went. Side by side. alone. Through a narrow path barely wide enough for two people not avoiding each other. Minthara's shoulders were stiff, Gale's palms were sweaty. Then a cultist leapt from the rocks. Minthara moved instantly, too far forward, leaving her flank exposed. Gale reacted before he could think. A shield spell blossomed around her, taking the brunt of the blow. Minthara spun toward him, eyes blazing. "Stop shielding me! I'm trying to keep you alive. I do not require." Another cultist lunged behind her. Gale fired a scorching bolt past her cheek. She froze. He froze. Their faces were inches apart. Minthara swallowed. Gale blinked slowly, chest rising and falling too fast. "Minthara," he whispered. "I did not mean to upset you." She clenched her fists. "Wizard," she said stiffly, "stop being whatever you are." "Is that good or bad?" "I do not know," she snapped. They stood there, breath mingling, battle raging somewhere far below. It was the closest they'd stood since the confession. And for the first time since that disastrous conversation, Minthara didn't step away. Not immediately. Not for a few heartbeats. Until she realized how close they were. She stepped back so fast she nearly tripped on a rock. "Eyes forward!" she barked. "Yes," Gale whispered, "of course." They continued onward, still fighting enemies, still fighting themselves, still somehow moving in sync. After the battle, Minthara walked through camp like a storm front. No one dared get in her way. Not after the battle. Not after Ketheric's collapse. Not after the disastrous, humiliating conversation. Her revenge was complete. Ketheric was dead, his cruelty erased. Her past avenged. She should have felt triumphant. Instead, she felt heat, tightness, stupidity. Every time someone chuckled softly, she heard it. Every whispered comment, even the ones people tried very hard not to let her overhear. Karlach whispered, "Did she confess?" Shadowheart said under her breath. "Not well." Will breathed, "Bless them both." Astarion laughed loudly. "Tragic. Hilarious. Delicious." Minthara's cheeks burned, her jaw locked until it ached. She had faced torture without flinching. She had walked into a mind flayer colony with steel in her spine. She had slain the man who broke her. But this was unbearable. She stopped in the center of camp, chest rising and falling too quickly. "I am done," she announced. Everyone looked up. "I have achieved my goal. I have no further reason to remain with this group. I leave now." Gale froze mid-pack, back straightening, eyes widening. He tried, gods, he tried, to sound unaffected. "Well," he said lightly, voice cracking only once. "I suppose if you feel that way." He swallowed hard. "Then, yes, you should go." Minthara's stomach twisted painfully. "Good." "Good! Let him not care." She lifted her chin. "My path is my own." Astarion muttered, "Drama!" Vesta kicked him. Minthara took a step toward the trees. Just one. But Gale's whole face crumpled. So small. So quick. So vulnerable she nearly stopped walking. He looked away fast, pretending to adjust his satchel, pretending she didn't matter. Vesta stepped in front of him. "Gale." He blinked. "Hmm? Do you love her?" He sputtered. What? I mean, love is, well, that depends on—" "Gale." He deflated. "Yes. And are you really going to let her leave without knowing that?" Gale fidgeted, shrinking in on himself. I tried to tell her. I thought I did. I thought maybe she understood. She didn't, Vesta said firmly. Minthara does not understand subtlety. She doesn't even understand medium. She needs clarity, directness. No metaphors, no speeches, no wizardly monologues. Gale flushed. I do not monologue. Asterion laughed. You absolutely do. Gale, Vesta said gently, pressing her hand to his shoulder. If you want her, you have to tell her. Not in 8 paragraphs. Not with theories. Tell her. He looked at Minthara's retreating back. White hair catching the morning light, shoulders stiff with pride and pain. Gale inhaled, he squared his shoulders and he went. Minthara, he called. She stopped. She didn't turn. Didn't breathe. Gale approached slowly. Carefully. Like one approaches a wild animal that might kill or kiss. She didn't move. Minthara, he said again, softer now. Please look at me. She did. Anger blazing. Shame burning. Fear carefully hidden between her ribs. Gale swallowed. No riddles, he said. No metaphors. No overthinking. He stepped closer. I don't want you to go. Her breath hitched, almost imperceptible. I want you here, he continued, voice shaking. With us. With me. I don't want space or distance. I just want... He faltered, searched for words Vesta told him he didn't need. Minthara stared at him like she couldn't decide whether to run or bite. Gale exhaled. He reached out, slowly, cupping her face with trembling hands. Minthara, he whispered, I love you. She froze. A heartbeat. 2. Then she shoved him. Hard. Do not say... But he stepped back in, closing the space again, grabbing her wrist before she could retreat. Too many words? He breathed. Her eyes widened. He pulled her closer. Then let me speak this way. And he kissed her. Hard. Shaking. Desperate. Minthara stiffened, pulled his cloak, and grabbed him. But not away. Into her. Her mouth crushed against his, a sound escaped her, half snarl, half something far softer, and Gale nearly lost his footing as she deepened the kiss, pulling him like she'd been trying to rip this feeling out of her chest, and he just put it back. When they broke apart, both breathless, Minthara pressed her forehead to his, eyes fierce. I still hate this, she whispered. Gale smiled weakly. I know. I may still hate you. Yes, he breathed. I know. Her grip on him tightened. But I'm not leaving. Gale's heart nearly burst. Good, he whispered. Good. Their foreheads touched. Her hand softened at his collar. His fingers traced her jaw. Behind them, Astarion loudly clapped. About time! Karlach whooped. Shadowheart smirked. Will pretended not to watch. Vesta grinned knowingly. Minthara growled. Gale blushed. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning.
She's a storm with a blade marching straight through the dark, and he's a bookish wizard with a too soft heart. She growls at the world, he apologizes twice. Oh, the gods must be laughing at this roll of the dice. Oh, they circle, they clash like they're dodging their fate. One breathes too loud and the other calls it hate. So watch this dance. Round and round they go, a drow with fire in her eyes, a wizard tripping over hope. Oh, watch this dance. It's a battle and a chance, stubborn hearts and fumbling hands. Oh gods, just watch this dance. She feels warm and he panics, grabs a blanket for her, says homeostasis like that makes feelings occur. She says she hates him, he looks ready to cry, yet they stand side He shields her life, she shouts, I do not need your update. So watch this dance. Round and round they go, a warrior made of thunder, a wizard made of oh no, watch this dance. One titan battle stands, too many sparks, too little sense. Oh gods, just watch this dance.
I'll eat my own loot.
They fight like storms, collide like chance, but love keeps tripping in their path. So watch this dance. Feel the fire, hear the glow. She pretends she feels nothing, he pretends he doesn't know. Oh, watch this dance. It's a battlefield romance. Fate steps in, they stand no chance. Oh God, just watch this dance.